All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, November 10th, sadly. We are talking about design tasks for Backdrop, and Wes had mentioned that he was interested in taking a stab at the new homepage design, which is issue number 301 in the backdropcms.org queue. Mike McCaffrey recommended an example site. Was it the Django site, Wes?
Yeah.
Hey, he's here. Hey, Mike. Speak of the devil.
I'm not the devil.
Speak of the person. So yeah, Mike had mentioned that they do a really good job of compelling users to understand their kind of big picture goals. And so Wes wanted to take a look at that and see if he could take some of the things that they do and try and get them working for Backdrop as well. And then I also mentioned that in working on some of these other sections, like in support where we want to have drop down options in our menu, I want to switch the menu to the because that will also fix our mobile problems with the menu that we're having today. But I was blocked on that because I thought it might significantly impact the design of how the page works with the drawer and all of that as well. So there's probably some way we could keep it kind of similar, like if we added the drawers like a sidebar on the handbook pages, and we could even recycle that design for the documentation pages if we thought it was good. But I just got stuck with not, as a developer, non-designer, I'm like, I don't know what it'll look like. I don't know how to build it. So Wes said he would be willing to take
She's freezing for more than just me, right?
Yeah, she's freezing. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to take a crack at that. I also... you're breaking up a lot.
I am?
We missed like the last 10 or 15 seconds.
We didn't hear anything after you said, like, I would like someone to help volunteer to... And then you cut off. You're like, I'm not a designer. And then...
Oh. Yeah, my brain couldn't figure out how to do it. But Wes has volunteered to solve that problem, or at least take a stab at it. So that should be great.
I'm happy to help out with that as well.
That would be fantastic, Mike, if you could provide feedback and help get Wes something closer to what you liked about the other site.
Okay.
For the handbook pages, we can take advantage of the menus, starting from first level and then second level on the sidebar thing.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Menu block as it was intended.
Yeah.
So other issues we're having with design, we need to figure out some way to incorporate imagery for both the theme and layout pages. And I think we even have some designs for how to do that already. There are some trickier tasks on how we get a project to identify its imagery. And I think there's an open issue about adding more things into the info file so that the theme could specify more than one image. Same with layouts. And then we could find some way to pull those in from GitHub to backdropcms.org, display them on backdropcms.org, maybe even also render them in Backdrop itself when you're in the project installer pages. But I would love to see some movement on that. And I don't know whether that needs to come design first or implementation first, because both things are kind of stuck. But I think that would help us out a lot.
What was that? I missed. What was it that needed?
There's someone behind you, Wes, and then they left. I hope they didn't steal your stuff.
What?
It's my wife. Dogs are losing their mind. Anyway, keep going.
So when you're looking at installing like modules, themes, or layouts on your site, you don't get any imagery. And I think that that's fine for modules because most of the time you don't necessarily need a screenshot. But for themes, it's really useful to see what they're going to look like. And for layouts to have some kind of visual cue of like what the layout's doing or what layouts you get might also be valuable. So just trying to figure out how imagery fits into
What were we saying about info files? Because don't all the themes already have a screenshot?
They might have a screenshot, but they are not currently included in the info file. And so there's an open issue that's trying to talk about what other information we might want to collect in the info file to be able to aggregate and display. And multiple images are not currently supported in themes. And we're going to need probably multiple images and layouts anyway. So we might solve that problem for both themes and layouts at the same time by adding some kind of screenshots in information into the info file. And then that way it would give themes the ability to put screenshots wherever they wanted. Same thing with layouts, and we could pull them in to display them either on backdropcms.org on the modules and themes and layouts pages, or on Backdrop itself when you're on the installer. It'll give you a screenshot of the thing you're about to install. So
actually,
I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think there's several things we need to figure out. We need to figure out how to get the information we want. We need to figure out how to integrate it into the systems we already have. And then we need to figure out a design for what it's going to look like once we get it there.
So even though it's not in the info file, like the themes do have a screenshot PNG or something like that, right?
Yeah, and there's an actual line in the info file currently that allows you to define a single screenshot. So if it's not called screenshot.png, it'll still be picked up. But that needs to be expanded to support multiple.
Okay. Well, we should probably start just by showing the one screenshot, right? Because we're not doing that.
Right. It's just a matter of do we want to write the code twice or not? And so it's the reason it's not written now is because it was assumed it would change, and it hasn't changed.
Well, let's build for today.
So layouts also don't have any way to support images today.
Yeah.
With layouts, we can show the
icon.
The icon. Then you have the issue of some layouts having sub layouts. There are packages of the project layout would include more layouts. Does that make sense? So it's multiple, not just one. And I know it makes sense for themes, as you said, more, but also modules, they have screenshots. And like from what I remember in d.org, that was useful because there was a long text that would explain what the module would do, and then it would have a screenshot of the UI, especially modules that affect the admin UI. So something generic would be better, I think.
So I mean, you're right, Mike, we could build support for the thing we have now, but it won't. I mean, we've got to build it differently for modules, themes, and layouts, or we could solve the problem and build it the same way in the future. I don't know what's more important. Like maybe it's just more important that we get screenshots up for themes.
Yeah, I think getting screenshots for themes are the most important. Even if we build it in to allow multiple screenshots for everything, that would still take a while for everyone to add those to their project. So, like, you know, I'd say let's start with the thing that we know that they have, and then provide the possibility of additional screenshots later.
Okay. And then, yeah, trying to figure out how to handle that on backdropcms.org in terms of the find pages. Do we want to pull in that information into fields so it's visible to views, or do we want to just add a new view hook that'll point to the remotely hosted images that are on GitHub? So just like some decision-making problems, we need to figure out about how to actually reference those files and display them. And probably whatever decision we make there would also need to be true for how we handled it on Backdrop, the installer page too.
Yeah.
All right. Other things we need to work on. Documentation section is really close. Getting that launched, I think, is blocked on figuring out how to put a link in the menu at the moment, which is where I got stuck last week. I think we can add a link into the menu now, but we don't have a drawer so that even if you clicked on it, there isn't any kind of drop open way to see the links that are in that section. So I don't know, we could put it into the top level if we needed to. But it would be great if we could figure that out. And then forum section is next on the list once we get documentation linked. Oh, I didn't mention the showcase section in here either. I suppose we don't need a design for it anymore. We have designs for the showcase landing, but it does need to still be implemented.
At some point, Jen, you said that you were going to have a meeting with somebody that would provide ideas or designs for redesigning the whole website, I think, or something like that. Did that happen? That was like a month ago. Sorry.
Yeah, so that wasn't a design meeting. It was an outreach meeting. I met with Jordan from Facet Interactive, and he did give me some great homework to do about figuring out how we want Backdrop to be represented in different places. And if I can finish that, they are willing to take over the sending of our newsletters, which I think will be really handy, but they needed to have some information to figure out like what kind of voice we wanted to use and make sure that it's consistent with the rest of our branding. But I think they also had other advice on how we can help get the word out about Backdrop, but it wasn't design related. It was about content. And one of the things that was really high on that list was getting the case studies thing going. And so I think we should continue getting that done. The problem, of course, is that we don't actually have content. We have designs, but we don't have any case studies, and we don't have, like, I put a couple up there, but I didn't write the words well. And so I think getting their help on that will also be good. And so hopefully we can get some kind of starter content up. And then if I can turn that over to Jordan and say, hey, we have these case studies, but they're not compelling. How do we fix that? He'll be able to say, like, well, this is the kind of thing you need to say in a case study. And that will hopefully help us kind of re-architect that content type in order to ask the right questions of the people who are filling it out. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get out of that short term. But we'll see. I need to set up another follow-up meeting with him too, and see what comes next.
I think that the respective thing in Drupal.org asks as well, or people, I don't know if it's a specific field, but people list the modules they use and in what way. It would be a good idea to sort of like list for sites that were converted from D7 to Backdrop, list the modules that they were using and what they don't need now because it's in core. That's a nice idea. It's like we got rid of this, this, and this because now it's a core feature or something like that.
And you're saying this is in a profile field or what?
It's on the showcase.
Oh, on the showcase.
So we had a bunch of fields that we left off that were on the Drupal showcase that we didn't put on Backdrop because we were waiting for references. But I feel like something like what you just described probably isn't a good fit for references anyway, because you need people to have room to explain why they did the things they did. So maybe I'll just make that like a text area and we can ask a question and have people answer it in whatever way is relevant for their project.
And it's good to be truthful rather than saying, excited about, we don't use, we might also tell them like, were there any modules that you were using and functionality that you lost? I don't know, because it's good to convey the message that we don't want to trap people in getting into Backdrop and then finding a surprise that module X or feature X doesn't exist yet, or something like that.
Okay.
I think that sounds like a bit too much.
It's bad for us, but...
Well, I mean, theoretically, anything that they don't have, like, they can port over or someone else can help them port it over. So, I mean, the showcase is supposed to be sort of like a longer term thing. It's not supposed to hopefully be constantly changing to these things. So it seems...
Yeah.
But it might be good to have someone say, like, I did this way in Drupal, and I decided to do it this way in Backdrop.
Yeah,
and
that's
maybe
fine.
Part of the reason why was because module Z existed for Backdrop and module X existed for Drupal, and that might have been part of their decision-making process, which could be interesting. But I do think it's important that we not paint the picture that backdrop is limited, because Mike's right, like there's no reason for that limit, we can fix it. Eventually, it just maybe wasn't there yet when that person needed it. All right, so figuring out how to ask that question. I'll look at how it was asked, how questions are asked on Drupal.org and also on the Blue Drop, which is a site that was created in order to generate showcases for Drupal.org, and see if they've got a different way of asking questions that might generate more compelling answers from people. Let's see, other stuff on the agenda for design includes reviewing pages or sections of backdropcms.org, and creating sort of outreach materials, so business cards or stickers. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about since you're here, specifically relating to design tasks? No.
Well, I was mostly interested in the main website and trying to make, that look better.
Yeah.
And
well, hopefully you and Wes can make some progress on that. I'm open to any suggestions. So.
Okay. How are folks doing development on the Backdrop CMS site? The code's on GitHub for it, but do we have like a database to work from installed locally and things?
We don't have like an auto-generated one, but we can SQL sanitize it using Drush, and that's what I've been doing. So if you want a copy of database to work with, I can send you one.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Anything else we should talk about that's pressing? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this meeting, and we'll reconvene in half an hour for the dev meeting. Mike, I'll send you the database, and hopefully that'll help.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming. Oh, what was that, Gregory?
I'll see you in about 30 minutes ago.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Talk to you later.